Would I be the AH if I don't forgive my SIL for a fucked up joke, she said. 4 years in, I met the love of my life and we got married. We decided to buy a house in the countryside, and as we are getting things ready with the mortgage, his family was kind enough to let us move into their home for the time being. This was a massive change for me, but I didn't care as I grew to be a part of his family, including his only brother, Matt, who I consider to be the brother I never had. My husband and I were there whenever Matt went through breakups and gave him dating advice whenever he was seeing someone new, until he finally met Vicky. When we met her, we thought she was sweet, down to earth, and didn't take herself too seriously, which is what Matt needed, but over time she started to display questionable behavior traits. Once at the dinner table, I said something about being Latina and she said, "Well, at least you're not a dirty Indian." Mind you, my husband, Matt, and I are all for some dark humor, but that comment almost knocked me off my chair. In fact, I don't think we all think she said what she said because it was so out of the blue. She was obviously trying to be funny, so we all laughed, but it was obvious that it made us uncomfortable. Another time, I took my husband to Turkey for his birthday and I sent a video to our family group chat of him sun tanning by our hotel's pool with the sound of the call to prayer echoing from the Blue Mosque in Hagia Sophia. As a response she texted, "That sound would freak me out," clearly suggesting that it sounds like a side boomer. I can see how that would fly over people's heads, but I knew what she was talking about. But I get it, she has never been to the Middle East, so as someone who has lived there I took the time to educate her on what the call to prayer is and how it's actually beautiful. However, it wasn't until yesterday, when I've had enough of her closed-minded remarks, that she clearly tries to pass off as light-hearted jokes. As I mentioned, the family has a group chat where we send memes and jokes to each other at times. As you can imagine, Vicky sometimes doesn't know how to read the room and sends inappropriate memes to the family, and yesterday she sent a meme that was a picture of a huge group of immigrants on an inflatable raft in middle of the ocean with a caption that said, "Where's Jaws when you need him?" My husband thought it was too much and so did his mum. I, on the other hand, was like hell to the absolute and definite fuck no. I was this close to going on the group chat and calling her out for the bigot she was in front of everyone, but my husband stopped me, so I decided to spare the drama and DM her. I told her that was a fucked up joke, especially considering that she knows that both of my parents were immigrants, wherein which my mom had to flee her own country. She immediately started apologizing and saying that she didn't know, which I found hard to believe. We've known each other for a year and we've discussed this before, so either she's lying or stupid. She immediately deleted the meme off the chat along with the gif of her giggling about it as a response to my MIL reacting with a shocked face emoji. This morning she sent me a long paragraph about how she is upset that she upset me and that she loves me and that I'm like a sister to her. I appreciate her apologizing and all, but it really gives me the ick to associate with anyone who thinks it's funny to joke about wishing death upon a certain type of people. Is she that closed-minded, or is she that desperate for attention that she's trying to get it in the wrong way? I completely understand that she doesn't come from the same background as me or had the opportunities to travel like I did, therefore it's natural to be ignorant, and I don't want to fall out with Matt. And this has nothing to do with politics or anything, it's just a cruel thing to say, and there is such thing as a bad joke. So would I be the AH if I flat out call her a racist, bigot the next time I see her and distance myself from her, or should I just accept her apology and drop it? Update 2. Last I left it, I said that Vicky sent a long paragraph with a dramatic apology saying that I am like a sister to her, but after reading a few comments I realized a few points. First off, how can she consider me as a sister when she clearly doesn't know me and never even cared to know me? Secondly, Vicky is only apologizing because she got called out and not because she realized that the meme she sent was out of line. I could probably forgive her if this was an isolated incident, but it wasn't. As I mentioned, she made racist comments twice before but never got called out for it, and now that she has, she's all of a sudden apologetic. If no one have ever said anything, I guarantee she would still think those kind of jokes are okay. I ignored her apology at first, but when Sunday came around and she and Matt were planning to come for our family dinner day, she texted me again asking if we are okay, and the only reply I could give her was, "I accept your apology, put it that way." It didn't take long for her to cry to Matt about it, who then called his mother to bitch about how mean I was being and how they are scared to come to dinner for fear of what I might say or stir up a bad atmosphere. I told my husband to explain to his mother that I am not one to cause a show, especially in their house, that they were so gracious to let us stay in while we were moving house. I have accepted Vicky's apology and will be civil, meaning if she wants to speak to me I will listen and answer, but I will not go out of my way to speak to her. My husband and I were out for a bit, seeing a friend for a bit before we had our family dinner. When we came back there was Matt and Vicky sitting on the couch. The moment I walked in, Matt had this uncomfortable smirk on his face. The kind of smirk you make when someone you hate walks into the room and makes eye contact with you and you have to be nice about it. Vicky gave me a hi in the voice of a mouse and immediately started having a staring contest with the floor, which was fine considering I made zero eye contact with her throughout the whole evening. When we were at the table I was chatty and made it out to seem that I was unbothered. Meanwhile Vicky was across the table acting all quiet and sad and making the situation awkward. Eventually, she texted Matt under the table saying that she wanted to leave once dinner was finished. Mom and Dad knew the reason why Vicky and Matt left so quickly and they became upset. They had a go at my husband about why I can't let it go, and how I was the one that made Vicky uncomfortable with the way I did not speak, let alone look at her once the entire time. I defended myself to my husband, saying that she and Matt were the ones that made it awkward from the second I walked into the room. Not to mention that if Vicky truly wanted to square things away she should have pulled me aside to talk instead of thinking that things are gonna be easily settled through a text message. I always found her to be the type that constantly plays the victim, but now I feel like she's trying to rope the family into thinking that I am the just because I refuse to let a stupid joke, that was a mistake, to post slide and play nice for the sake of peace in the family. Now, I don't know what to do, as everyone in the family is thinking that it is up to me to fix this, even though I wasn't the one who stupidly posted a shitty joke on the family group chat. Update 3. Well, y'all. I am finally back with a final update, and good lord did shit hit the fan. I was hoping that I could continue to keep Vicky at arm's length and she would eventually get used to it, but after what happened I am gonna need some advice on what to do going forward until the day Matt finally opens his eyes and realizes who he's dating. Right after that Sunday dinner, when Vicky made an awkward scene in front of the whole household, my in-laws voiced their disappointment in me to my husband for being so harsh. Again, all I did was not acknowledge Vicky and kept my distance. Side note, there have been some of you in the comments questioning my husband's reaction to this whole thing, and I want to make this absolutely clear: my husband has been defending me from the very beginning. He always agreed that the joke she made was completely out of line and that Vicky is the type that doesn't know the difference between being funny and being inappropriate, especially around his parents. In fact, I actually felt bad because although his parents were angry with me, they took it out on my husband as if he had any part to play in this. Despite that, he fiercely defended me by explaining in full detail about my family's history as immigrants, and even told them the story of how my mother had to flee her country and be separated from her family, which is something I never explained to my in-laws. He also pointed out that not only is this not the first time Vicky has said something racist, but she builds her entire personality on being inappropriate, and that his parents has seen her behavior for themselves. Therefore, I should not be forced to interact with her, especially on her terms, when she makes me feel uncomfortable. What's more, my husband pointed out how I was the chatty one. Meanwhile Vicky didn't say a word the entire dinner and made Matt leave dinner early with her simply because I didn't look at her. In fact, my husband's exact words to my in-laws were, "And what if she did look at Vicky? Then Vicky would have complained that she was giving her nasty looks. Besides, is that all she has to complain about? Because she didn't look at her?" All four of us dropped it and moved on until Sunday came around again. It happened to be Mother's Day in the UK, so for the sake of my mother-in-law, I was going to make myself extra chatty at dinner and not make it obvious that I was still stonewalling Vicky. My husband is a personal trainer, so he had a few clients to train but was going to return in time for dinner. I decided to pass the time by getting a head start on my work and stayed in our room working on my laptop with my AirPods blasting in my ears. Around early afternoon, I received yet another text from Vicky saying that she and Matt are coming to dinner and that she's looking forward to seeing me. I left her on read and continued my work. Dinner usually starts at 7 p.m. and Matt and Vicky usually turn up an hour to 30 minutes before. Unbeknownst to me, Matt and Vicky decided to show up at 4 p.m. After a few hours, I came downstairs to check if my MIL needed a hand. I was surprised to see Vicky and Matt already sitting at the table. When I asked if they had just arrived, Matt replied that they arrived hours ago. I then turned my attention to Grandma to say hello, and at the corner of my eye I saw Vicky and Matt looking at each other awkwardly. At this point, I was just gonna let Vicky play the victim card until she made herself look pathetic while I act completely normal. The entire dinner was great as we all laughed and talked just like we always have. But then we finished dessert, and that's when Vicky spoke up and said, "I think it's time we address the elephant in the room." The whole table went silent and I took a massive swig of my wine because I knew what was coming, and I started to seethe. Seething at how she was about to force me to be nice to her by guilt-tripping and embarrass me in front of everyone. Seething at how she would rather cause a scene at the table on Mother's Day instead of taking the 3 hours that she had when she arrived to pucker up the courage to come upstairs and knock on my door to talk about this elephant in private. Most importantly, I was seething at how she was about to play the victim over something she did. I gave her a chance though. A chance to correct herself by saying, "You really want to do this here?" She insisted because the way I told her, "I accept the apology," put it that way, and me ignoring her texts was immature. That's when the wine I just downed kicked in and I let her have it. Me, "I'm sorry, do you expect me to invite you for bottomless brunch dates and sleepovers now?" Vicky, "I didn't say that we have to do those things. You have been ignoring my texts and you won't even look at me." Me, "Okay, but here's the thing, sweetie, you do not get to post offensive jokes that you know full well is offensive and then act all shocked when someone gets offended. You can apologize all you want, but at the end of the day we both know that you're only sorry because you got called out for being out of line and not because you knew how inappropriate that joke was, because you wouldn't have posted it in the first place." Vicky, "I had no idea that joke was going to offend you. I had no idea your parents were immigrants." Me, "Oh, so I have to disclose to you that my parents were immigrants in order for you to understand that finding humor in wishing death upon people is wrong?" Vicky, "Why are you being like this? It was never my intention to hurt you. I am not an asshole. But you are deliberately ignoring me. You have been upstairs the whole time we've been here and you didn't bother to come down and say hello." Me, "How funny considering I had no idea y'all got here so early, but you knew I was upstairs and the whole time you bothered to come upstairs to speak to me. You're the one that screwed up, therefore it is not my responsibility to seek you out and speak to you. But you already know that, which is why you're now asking me to talk, right here, at this dinner table in front of an audience, on Mother's Day. You just want an audience so you can play the victim." Vicky, "Oh fuck off." At that point my MIL stood up and told us both to shut up and stop bickering, then ran upstairs to cry. There was a brief silence after we heard her bedroom door slam, and all I could say was, "Well, congratulations, Vicky. You ruined Mother's Day. I hope this show you created was worth it." Vicky then got out of her seat and ran to the back garden to cry, with Matt running after her. My husband just looked at me stunned at what happened, but I was relieved when he took my hand because I knew he was still on my side. MIL managed to calm down and came back downstairs. Bless her, she said that I was the best thing that has ever happened to her son and she loves me, but she doesn't want this to cause a wedge between her two sons. I assured her that I had dropped this since the day I wrote to her saying that I accepted her apology, so I don't know why she had to take it to that level. MIL then said that she wants our dinners to go back to how they were before all this and not have any tensions, to which I reiterated that I never did anything to cause tensions. Out of nowhere, FIL screamed out while looking at my husband dead in the eyes, "You need to stop this," and smashed a wine glass on the table. I then ran upstairs and started packing my stuff. It's one thing for being reprimanded for something I did not cause and standing up against bad behavior, but to see my husband catching blame for something that has nothing to do with him made me sick. If anything, FIL should have directed that anger towards Matt for not controlling his troll of a GF to shut her mouth in the first place. Husband begged me not to go, but I just couldn't bear to be around his parents with this sort of bad atmosphere hanging over us. I left in a hurry and stayed in an Airbnb near my office. As of now, I am staying with a friend until the process for getting our house is finalized. Husband keeps telling me that his parents wants me to come back, but I keep refusing because although it has been weeks I still feel embarrassed. So Redditors, I am left with 2 questions. 1. Should I get over what happened and go back? 2. Most important question. It's clear that Matt doesn't have the spine to break up with Vicky even after witnessing her obsession for drama, therefore how am I supposed to interact with Vicky whenever I have to see her again? I was planning to continue giving her the cold shoulder and not talking to her or looking at her like before, but husband pointed out that she will want me to do that because then she can use that as ammo against me. She will try to test my damn patience and bait me into making her look like the poor victim. I don't want that bitch to win. How should I do it? What do you think? Tell us in the comments. Like the video and hit the subscribe button for more Reddit stories.